caught me in the middle of yawning. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to be diving in a lot to episode 4. I told you all I had a very, very special guest. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring on the innkeeper here.
Welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm definitely not the innkeeper.
Wait a minute. You look like Sarah from What series and not the innkeeper.
I am, and I did not murder the innkeeper and take his title, just so everybody knows.
Well, so the innkeeper had something that last minute that came up. He is actually going to be now joining us next week. So unfortunately, the Dusty Wheel will be here again next week, but we have an awesome replacement. This is actually Sarah from What series. You should probably change your name back.
Yeah, I should do that.
So
there we go.
You may know her as Celtic Mist. Yeah, I always read it as my ST, and I don't know why I do that. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
I'll take whatever. That's fine.
But you are one of the main writers for WhatSeries.com. And What series, if you all are not familiar, is like the best place to go find news about the Wheel of Time. So, right?
I mean, I think so, but I'm biased. So
yeah, you are, but it still is. So, yes, WhatSeries.com. So now here's the other part of this that's a little. I'm going to leave that up for a second. But the other nice part about having Sarah on here is she has actually seen the first 6 episodes, and she has promised to share all of the secrets tonight. She said, "Go to hell." She said, "Go to hell, Amazon. Screw your NDA. Let me share all the secrets," is what she said to me prior to coming on here.
True story. That's exactly what happened. Verbatim.
And they think I'm a shill. My goodness. No. It is great though. We have so many things to talk about with episode 4, right? I mean, I guess before we get into any of that, what are your overall thoughts on the series in general? Like so far for you? Like how would you rate it on given you've seen more, but like how would you rate the episodes that we have seen, right? What would be your out of 10 score?
Like each one individually or just the whole 4 episodes
right now,
as a package?
Thing. Yeah.
Whole 4 episodes, I'm going to say probably an 8.5 out of 10. Because I really liked episode 4 a lot.
Yeah, I would say it was pretty.
That pulls it up for me. I think, again, I feel like it's getting harder and harder for me to rate them individually. The more I can tell that there's clearly going to be something building all season, and like you have to kind of see it as a whole package before you can really understand maybe some of the setup they were doing earlier that you didn't know was set up until later. At this point, I'm very pleased.
Yeah. How would you rate the first? Like, where do they go? And I guess in line for you, like, what's been your favorite episode? I think 4 from what you're saying. What's your least favorite? Like, what? Give me the overall.
Yeah, 4 definitely is my favorite so far. Probably 4, 3, 2, 1 in terms of descending order. I did not hate the first episode. I know that it's definitely the weakest. I think most everyone can agree on that, but I think it also got a lot more flack from book readers than non-book readers.
Yeah. Agreed.
And like I watched it with my husband. He has not read The Wheel of Time. He does not read fantasy. He doesn't know anything other than this is what his wife is obsessed with. And he loved it. He was like really actually genuinely hooked.
That's awesome.
After the first episode, and he wanted to watch more. And then after 2 and 3, like we spent 20 minutes like talking about his theories, and then the next day we'd gone on a walk and he like brought it up again and like had things he wanted to talk about. So I mean, in that way it's working.
It's almost like these characters hook people or something. I don't know. Almost like that. I had to throw this up there because episode 4 apparently can make men pregnant now. So
wow,
that good.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Literally, it's 4, 3, 2, 1 for me. And I know I won't even press you in any of it. I guess given that you have seen the next two episodes that we haven't, right? Are are you, I guess, without giving anything specific, like, are you generally very happy with the series? Is that
Yes.
fair to ask?
Yep. I'm genuinely very happy.
That's awesome to
So,
hear.
yeah.
It makes me happy, makes my heart happy to know that.
I mean,
So,
I definitely, there was a period of time, like in the last, 3 months before the show came out, and I'm just like, oh my God, what if it's terrible? Like, I've
right?
devoted so much time to this and so much of my life, and then what if it sucks? It did not suck, so I'm really relieved.
Yep. And it definitely didn't. I think here's what I will say. I've talked about this a little bit. I can understand. I think there's three camps, and you and I have been in this fandom long enough, and we've been making content long enough where you've seen my YouTube comment Hall of Fame. Like, the funny stuff that people will say. There are, in my opinion, really four different camps of people in their reactions. You've got diehard fans who think this is just the greatest possible thing ever, right? No flaws whatsoever. It's just great. You have fans that are happy with it, but have some criticisms, but are for the most part happy with it. And then you've got the people that didn't like it. And these are typically readers, book readers. And you've got book readers who maybe don't understand the changes. And then you've got the racist bigots. And I put them in a separate category, because if your criticism of the show begins and ends with it's woke of, just you start throwing out buzzwords that you don't even know the meaning to, you
Yeah.
really aren't being a critic. You're just
That's not criticism at
that's
that
not
point.
criticism.
Yeah.
So, like, I discard that, but I do actually have a lot of empathy for that third group that I was talking about, the ones that maybe had not followed the show like we did, right?
Hmm.
Where you had read the books, you heard there was going to be a show and you watched it, and all of a sudden you feel like they've changed everything. And I think it hit you and I differently with the changes because we knew, right? We knew they were coming, right?
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
wonder how I would have felt if I had not known about the Layla thing way ahead of time.
right?
I mean, I had a year and a half to come to terms with it, and I don't know how I would be feeling about that right now if I hadn't had
Mhm.
all that time. So I can totally understand.
And
But
that's
yeah,
where I do feel I understand it. And here's what I've noticed, the trend that I've watched is the people that felt that in episode 1, because there were some jarring changes, even though I think they can
there
be
were.
explained away. There were jarring changes in episode 1, and I think they hit those people very hard. But I've also watched, as the series has gone on so far, a lot of them have been kind of won over. Um, does that make sense? Like, it's a little bit of, oh, I'm starting to see what they're going to do. Uh, this was never ever, and it doesn't matter if it was Rafe adapting it, if it was HBO adapting it, if it was Netflix adapting it, if it was Steven Spielberg adapting it, right? It would not, or had RJ been alive and he adapted it,
Right.
it would not have been the same as the
Yeah.
books.
If
It
and if
never
RJ
would.
himself had come down from heaven and made a TV show, there would still be a huge contingent of fans that would hate it. So
Yeah, it's not, there were
it's
a huge
not.
contingent of fans that hated his writing,
That's also true.
like that were reading his books. It's
It's true.
so what I would say is this: you can choose to look at this through I want to hate it lens, or you can look at it through a lens of I want to like it, and that doesn't erase the criticisms. I have a lot of criticisms.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I've talked about them in some of my videos. Some of them I'm harsher on than others. I actually did not like episode 1 all that much. I thought it had a tough job to do. I think there are some things they could have done better that would have made that episode turn out a little differently, right?
Hmm.
Um, but here's what I'm also starting to notice. There's a lot of things that they did not pay off in episode 1 that they just hinted at that are going to be paid off later, that I think are going to happen. So
Yeah.
you have to watch it in its totality. So I want to say that I think if you have those criticisms, I think that's okay. Um, but it's also like, what's not okay is if your criticism is, whoa, crap, garbage, blah blah. Okay, well, your opinion literally no longer matters. right?
Yeah, no, that's
Like,
there's just I mean, I when the episodes, the first 3 went live, on Amazon, on the evening of the 18th in the US.
mhm,
I mean, I was literally there and I refreshed the page and like as soon as they went up, there was like 10 reviews instantly giving it 1 star,
yep,
woke, drivel, whatever, and like at least 3 of those are now the top rated
yep.
helpful reviews for the show. So, they obviously didn't watch it.
No.
So,
Well, to that end, there were bots out. There were bots on Twitter, which is ridiculous that somebody wrote a bot for this. But there were Twitter accounts being created that were trolling that and doing the exact same thing. No followers, just created, multiples
yeah.
of them, spitting out crap. So
Yeah. And I
you
hated
know
the
what?
fact that it made me feel, like, obligated to leave a five-star review, like, early
Right?
on because I'm like, "I don't wanna rate it until the end," and I don't even think I would necessarily rate it a 5 star because I'm I've got plenty of criticism, but now I feel like I have to for it to fall somewhere in the middle, which is where I think it belongs
So
accurately.
before we get too deep into this, because there is one thing I want to bring up before we dive into episode 4, that I think is somewhat controversial, but not really. I want maybe you and I can give it some context for some people. But I will say this, guys. My live streams are pretty heavy spoilers typically, so we are going to talk about all of the episodes of the show. And I'm not saying we're going to talk about the end of the books or anything, but sometimes things go there. Like, we're going to not try to go there because we're not really talking about that right now. But just FYI, if you don't want anything, absolutely nothing spoiled, I understand, but just wanted to warn everybody. So one of the things that I wanted to address, and I see this comment, I'm going to highlight this. It's not just this person that's saying this, but one of the hardest things for me was the whole not knowing whether the dragon would be male or female. Okay. And I understand where that comment in a vacuum, right? When Moraine says we don't know if it'll be a boy or a girl, like, right?
Mhm.
That sets that episode off on the wrong tone for some people. Am I wrong in saying like
Oh, no. I mean, honestly, when
there?
I first heard that opening thing, I was just like, "Oh, that's gonna make people so mad." Like, why did you have to leave it that?
But the thing with it is, and I guess, oh, the change they're making here is not the change that people think they're making. And I guess that's the context I want to give to this. They are not changing the fact that the dragon in the show is going to be a boy or a girl. Guys, the dragon is going to be the same person in the show that it is in the books. Like,
Yeah,
no ifs, ands,
there's
or buts.
less than
100%.
0 chance that they
Yes,
that they change the dragon.
100% zero chance. But like, that's not the question. In fact, that's not even really the change. What the change that they made is that Moraine does not necessarily trust the prophecies and that they don't
Right.
know, right? That's what they just don't know. The only reason they're making that change, the literal only reason they are making that change is that it is compelling, um, for new readers who, by the way, are the audience here. Okay. Not new readers, but new viewers
New viewers, yeah.
to not know. And by the way, that last episode has new viewers speculating like crazy
Oh,
about who it could
absolutely.
be.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's working. I want you to understand, if you can get rid of that mindset, what they're doing worked. It got people talking about it, it has people debating it. Um, and I'm grumpy. I don't mean to bring this up, but I've seen you make this comment. The lore is thrown right out the window. No, it isn't. It's a small change. It's not. It's a small change that doesn't really affect anything, because the moment that Rand becomes the dragon, right? Then does it matter? Will anybody have cared that Moraine in the opening line of the story said could be a boy or a girl? Like, it won't matter at all. It doesn't. And that's where I want to help people separate this is, yes, there are changes that would infuriate me. Like, if they change a fundamental, like, character, not plot, I separate plot, but if they change who the characters are, in the sense that Egwene, for instance, was a super submissive housewife. right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just being ridiculous on purpose here, but like
Yeah.
that to me would be a change I would not be cool with at all. If answer like because I want Egwene to be a very headstrong, very ambitious, very capable young woman who is going to earn everything she gets and is always the smartest person in the room. And by the way, that's how she's being portrayed,
Oh yeah, for
right?
sure.
And if they made Perrin anything other than a gentle giant who is conflicted about whether or not he wants to be violent, he thinks that it's necessary, but that he also hates what it does, and right? Oh, wait a minute, they are doing that. Like the characters are who they are, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I want to go with this. Is when we're dealing with changes, understand that plot points are going to change. They have to. Okay. Episode 3 was a great example of them combining Rand and Matt's 7 stops along the way to Camelin.
Yep.
They're combining a lot of elements of that into one episode, and it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it did work. So, anyways, I don't know. Do you have any other comments on that? I just kind of wanted to address that because I see this criticism, and I think some of it's valid, and I also think some people need to reframe the way they look at things.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all.
I mean, I definitely I agree that being concerned about what you feel like are huge lore world building changes, like that's okay, but you also have to just kind of let it play out and see
Mhm.
what they're doing with it. Because again, like in this case, I really think that after we've seen the first season, and we'll just be like, okay, well, now we're on the same track as the books were, so why does it matter what she thought in the beginning? Um,
Absolutely.
but just my 2 cents.
Well, your 2 cents is worth it. So, okay. So addressing that, I guess let's talk about episode 4. There was so much in this episode. And I'll tell you, it's something I talked about in my review video, but it was really funny to me that I think this was most people's favorite episode. And I'm not going to say it has to be yours. For most people though that I've seen, this is their favorite episode. Um hold on a second. Hold on before I finish my thought.
I'm sorry, I'm not the innkeeper tonight to put on that beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful manfair wig.
Samuel, thank you very much. Also, think there's a lot of good changes that people aren't focusing on, and wig. Here you go. Um, if you're new to the channel, I don't normally wear wigs. This is a deliberately awful wig, but people, this I don't know how this became a thing, but people donate money, and I put wigs on. Don't know how that happened, but it happened. What were we talking about?
Episode 4.
Yes. Oh, okay. The piece that's so funny is this episode was the absolute least like the books of any of the episodes we've seen so far. I don't even
Yep.
think outside of maybe some scenes with Perrin and Egwene, almost nothing in this book is or in this show is in the book.
Is like directly out of the book, yeah.
Like none of it. So, but yet I think it felt the most like the Wheel of Time. Am I wrong?
No, that's exactly what I thought too. I'm just like, I don't know why, but this really worked for me because it's Wheel of Time. It's good.
Well, and we will absolutely pick out some scenes here. What were some standout scenes to you? Like what were the parts that you were like, heck yeah.
I mean, the ending notwithstanding, because I know we're gonna talk about
We're going
that
to talk
later.
about that.
One scene that I really, really liked was the conversation between Perrin and Isla at the Tinker camp.
Mhm.
And that was a scene that I would have never expected to like. I was not a fan of the Tinkers from the books, didn't really care about them either way. I never found their philosophy super compelling, to be honest. Um, but in the show, and this is actually kind of a broader point that I should touch on real quick, is that I really, really, really like how they are leaning into the whole reincarnation
Mhm.
aspect of the world. Like, what would people do if this was a fundamental part of their worldview, that reincarnation was a thing? And how would people in the world think about that and act about that?
Mhm.
And so that that being said, then, when Isla's talking to Perrin about why they're trying to be peaceful and stuff, and she's trying to make the world a better place for the people in the next turning. And that's never something that I would have heard from the Tinkers in the books, at least not that I can remember, but like it made so much sense, like, and it worked so well.
Well, so it was funny to me when they cast Maria Doyle Kennedy, because when I know you were on the same boat with this, like when they first announced that she had been cast, but we didn't know who at what role, we're all assuming she's Elida or Varen or
Or
like
Swan,
Swan, or right, because like we're trying to think like she's such a great actress. Like for people that don't know, the actress that played Isla is Maria Doyle Kennedy, and she is great. She's in Outlander. She's been in a ton of other stuff, but she's outstanding. And it was kind of odd that they announced, oh yeah, she'll be playing Isla, and we were all like,
I was definitely bummed. I was like,
huh?
what a waste.
Yeah, like why Isla? Like what is? But you can kind of see why, because I feel like this is so integral, at least in the show, to Perrin's storyline, because she's literally speaking to the conflict in him right now.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, and again, Sarah, I know you can't talk about it. I have a feeling in the next episode we're going to get something else between them. It's just my guess, before bad stuff happens. But real quick before we move on, so I don't forget it, Yilang, thank you very much for the wig.
Gotta keep
it
it
on a little longer now. It's so beautiful. But yeah, hold on. Do we have spam? Shantae,
we got a bot. Yeah, there's a bot in the chat.
Didn't I give some power to? Isn't there a mod in there?
Yeah, Shantae nuked it.
Okay, good. I was just checking. I was like, wait a minute. You know, we've arrived when we get porn spam in the.
But don't you want to go to this stream and watch girls here?
Yeah, wait. No, I want to talk about the wheel time. But yeah, and it was interesting because that her speech isn't in the books.
Mm-mm.
That was well written.
But it felt like it could be. That was
right?
the crazy part.
It did feel like it could be. So the performances, I think, have been outstanding, especially for those that have been given something to do. I think there's some actors that haven't had as much to do yet. I never thought I would say this, but I sometimes, as great as Rosamund is, I feel like she is being somewhat overshadowed by some of the other performances.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I think she's amazing, but like I was so shocked at how much I loved some of these like one and done roles, like Karene, for instance. Like she was really good. And like even just like Steppen and the Warders, around the campfire, or Aram and the Tinkers. I mean, all of these side roles, if you could even call it that much, have been very well acted, which is great.
Peter Franzen is Steppen. My God. I mean, again, they're just the quality of actors and actresses they brought in are ridiculous. And we haven't even gotten to Sophie Akinato yet. And you have. I'm so mad. Okay. I know you're mad too, because I know you want to talk about it. But
sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's so scenes like that, you're right, are great. I loved, and I think I wish we had gotten more of it. And I feel like I keep saying that. I wish we had gotten more of Tom.
Oh, I agree.
Because I think Tom has made his season 1 exit. And I want to watch that scene. So I'm going to show the clip right now of that scene. I want to talk about what I think is maybe going on here. So spoilers here, but this is what we do. I think, and I want everybody to watch this clip with this in mind. I think the Fade is afraid of Matt. So here we go.
It's all right. I got you. Where's Matt? Grab him. Let's get out of here now. I see you.
The Fade! Get him out of here! Come on! Run! Come on! Come on! Run! 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 Run!
So I'm totally going to have to watch the episode again after this now. Right. But I think, personally, I think that Fade was hiding.
That was kind of the vibe that I got, and I think they're going for the, competing sort of types of evil, like the Mashadar versus the Dark One. Like they're two different things and opposing each other, which is interesting implication-wise for later.
Absolutely it is. But I love how they're not really explaining, like we as readers know what's going on with Matt.
Right.
I love how they set up is he channeling? Like, right? Like I
know a
love,
lot of people were mad that they changed Mashadar from a fog to this black stuff, and now you can see why, because it does look similar to the
Mhm.
to the taint on Sidene. So
Well, and you can see how Matt or Tom might think it. And what we know is, by the way, that Pot on Fane nails a Murdral to the door. And like that dagger gives him control and power and
right.
that type of thing. So it's I just thought that was so cool that the Fade was up there hiding and didn't attack until
That was such a good scene. I mean, just
Love
the
it.
whole, just like my heart was pounding. I remember the first time I watched it. It also didn't help. I was alone in the absolute darkness in my house watching this. But anyway, but just that, and like that bait and switch that they pulled on readers. Like, wait, did Matt really just? Oh, okay. If you didn't, oh my God, like just that yanking back and forth. It was really well done for such a small scene.
Real quick, I missed a comment here. Christine, we are going to get to this. In fact, that'll be what we're going to talk about for a while. I'm kind of saving that for a moment. So we will come to that. Don't you worry. And then I think we had one other comment here. Where we go? There we go. Christopher said, for Sarah, without spoilers, did you like episodes 5 and 6 more or less or the same as 3 and 4? I think you can answer that.
I'm gonna say we have our episode 5 non-spoiler review coming out in a couple days, and you can check that out
Where might they be able to check that out?
on whatseries.com.
It's on the screen right now. So make sure to look for that on whatseries.com.
But I will say, oh, sorry, my Alexa.
I've done the same thing. Her Alexa went off. While she's doing that, let me hit some other comments here. We have Adam saying, I don't think the Grinwells got Mashadard. I think we know what the dagger does to people. Black boiling blisters.
Sorry.
We see how it's manifesting in Matt. Yeah, I don't think they did either. I think the Fade killed them. I don't think that was Matt. And then we also had Chili Odell. Love this scene and love the doll being named Birgitta. And yes, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, the doll. I should have known they were gonna just stomp on my heart with that doll somehow, even more than the beginning.
And it looks and Birgitta looks over her while everyone's sleeping.
I know. So there was like so many layers to that. It was so good.
We got another one here. Jojo B. Joe GB. Okay, I said that wrong. Thoughts on the book lore? Fade's being able to sense the dagger and its evil for miles. And maybe that's how the Fade found them.
That was kind of my assumption.
Yep.
It's not outright stated, but I think as book readers, it's reasonable to assume that. So.
Yep. Now, you were saying something before your Alexa decided to go off.
Yeah, it was reminding me to clean the cat litter box. So.
Alexa, play Christmas music. Oh, it didn't work. Did
Didn't
you
work.
turn your Alexa off? Aw.
I was just gonna say that in very broad terms for 5 and 6, I was continually very pleased. So
Well, and I think this is obviously not a spoiler. Brandon Sanderson said that episode 6 in his mind was a 10 out of 10.
yeah.
He thinks it's the best episode that he had read. Now, he, keep in mind, had not seen the scripts for 7 and 8 when he had said that.
I think he did make a comment though after he had seen the scripts for 7 and 8 because he said he really liked 7.
Well, and Rosamund said 7 was her favorite.
Yeah.
She said it was the best. So, take that for what you will. I did. How many people's Alexas did I just set off by doing that? I just see some comments.
Hey, if anyone wants some real fun, ask her how to cleanse the taint, because that's fun.
Oh my God, is that a thing?
I did it once before, I think, when you were on a live stream.
Okay, I thought that is kind of fun.
It
Alexa,
says, it doesn't.
How do you cleanse the taint? Hopefully that worked on somebody. So everybody wants to see my t-shirt. This was made before. I think I need to update this shirt to include woke garbage, woke crap. I want to speak to Jeff Bezos. Because we have new Karens. Agenda. Yep, we have new Karens. Okay. Where were we at? I'm all distracted now. All hot and bothered. Let's go ahead and dive into the ending. And not that there's not other things in there to talk about, but I want to spend some time on this because first of all, let's talk about the good first. How cool was Nynaeve? I mean,
exceptionally cool.
Like
that's good. I cried.
And you kind of knew it was happening. Like the moment you saw Lan bleeding out, you were like, okay, Nynaeve's about to go off. You knew it. Now, what's funny is this is simultaneously exactly how she's described in the books, and also a little bit of embellishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know that she ever did a mass heal in the books. Like basically, like you know what I'm talking about?
I can remember. Yeah, I don't remember anything specifically that exact type of incident.
Well, let's do this. I want to play the clip. Okay, I want to play it's kind of an edited version of the clip because I didn't want to play a 7-minute clip. But I have some of Moraine talking to Logain. We'll get to see Logain channel and see some things there that we'll talk about. And then we'll get to see the Nynaeve clip at the end. So let me go ahead and play that, and then we'll use this as a jumping point for discussion. Here we go.
And as strong as you are, your power is a trickle. It's a pinprick of candlelight against the raging sun that will be the dragon reborn. No!
Like a radiant sun.
Now I have to watch the show again. Okay. So there's a couple things to talk about in that. And I think this has been at the center. What I like to do in these discussions is I like to recontextualize the way people think about things. It's kind of the way I like to approach these, because I want to set a couple things clear. Namely, because they've said this, like the people running the show have said this, they put this in some of the X-ray material. Women and men can't see each other's weaves, as far as we know. Okay. Not only that, but Sidene and Sidar, by the way, are different things. So like they are both the one power, but they're not combined. Like, if that
There's
makes
no
any
way
sense.
they would like call that out in the bonus material, like the animated short and stuff, and then have it be different from the main
Right.
show. There's no way.
Right. So like I want to say that up front, because you have to approach these clips knowing what we know. Okay. They even make a comment in the show about how they don't know how strong Logain is because they can't see his weaves. Moraine makes a comment about it. Now, men can sense women channeling. That's one of the strengths they have in the book. Knowing all of those things, here are the questions that I think we need to talk about. Okay. First of all, Kareni, by the way, I want to pronounce that Kareen so bad, but
I know. That's
Kareni,
it's so hard.
Kareni somehow knows what Logain is doing and throws a weave shield in front of Moraine and Leandrin. How did she do that? Let's start with that.
My just kind of gut reaction at first was that because they make a point of showing like whatever spear or something that he's making, like pushing the shield outward,
Mhm.
like in a very obvious point. And like obviously she can see her own weaves, and she could see if something was forcing them out like that and probably make an assumption.
Yep.
That's kind of what I thought. And then she just instinctively threw out the shield on the other two and didn't have time to shield herself.
Yep. And I had the same read on it, but I think if you don't know better, you might assume, right, that she could
Yeah, I
see.
could see that. I could see that being confusing for
Yep.
sure.
Now the other thing, and this is actually a good point here. Let me throw this up here. Alan Bird said, "Why would the shield itself be penetrated? It wasn't a shield of air; it was a shield of spirit against the one power." And I think this goes with how they're showing shielding in the show. I always wondered before this how you were going to show that, right? Like, how would you show shielding somebody from the one power, like visually? And I had always kind of envisioned it. I don't know how I even envisioned it. Like,
I don't know
think
either,
about that. Like,
honestly.
when you were reading, how did you envision somebody shielding somebody from the one power?
About the same as I envisioned the ageless faces, aka I didn't.
Yeah.
Just okay, that's what it is. Move on.
So yeah, along those lines, like I kind of like the way they're trying to show it, like a shield that comes apart and then basically collapses in on like the channeler that they're trying to shield. Like I like that
Like it
visual.
settles into
Yeah.
their skin. Yeah.
Yep. And you can try to break the shield. Like that's kind of where, you hear Rand in the box talking about trying to break the shield that way. So I love how I'm doing this to
The
to break
box
the shield.
stance.
That's the universal sign for breaking the shield. But yeah, like I think that it does make sense that something, although what was that weave that he was using? Was that a spirit dart that came through? Was it
That's
a
also a great question.
right?
Yeah.
Like what was it? We
I
may
think
never
some
know
of
that.
this is going to be hard, I think, to make a super informed guess on too until we
Mhm.
kind of get a better idea of how they're
Yep.
handling male channeling in the show and like how shields are going to work. And it's hard to say. That's kind of my guess at first, but it does require a little bit of because it looked cool.
Right? Because they look cool. So the next piece, though, that I think is worth discussing then, and this is, I think, the one that has more people worked up about, and I actually understand this. I do understand this criticism. How do we deal with the fact that it does look like Logain could see Nynaeve channel. Like he shields his eyes. How do we reconcile that?
I mean, again, like what I thought with the first time I watched it, it just didn't even really occur to me that he had seen her channel.
Mhm.
That may be based on my book knowledge, though. It's impossible to say, but I just assumed that he saw light because she made light, and or like I mean, because there's obviously the torches all went out, so obviously something else happened
Well, and her hair
to
was
affect
like,
the room. Right, there was the wind of some kind, and things happened besides the healing, which makes sense for an untrained wilder just going off and exploding with not really knowing what she's
yep.
doing. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening besides healing. I mean, they're lucky that she didn't also set people on fire or
Right?
something.
She didn't know what she was doing. Now you
Right.
will notice too, he had weaves that disappeared.
And I just kind of thought like he just stopped channeling once that happened because he was
Yep.
taken off guard or shocked or whatever. But
Well, they did. I mean, so again, I've seen Sarah address this on Twitter. Somebody said Rafe did. I never saw where Rafe did, but if he did,
I
awesome.
haven't seen that either, if he said it.
But look, if you just want to come at it from the angle the show sucks and they must have screwed up here, then there's not much that's going to change your mind on that, right? But like I'm looking at it from they knew what they were talking about with it. So how can we explain it? Right? Because that was the great part about being in the books. Like there were times where I'm sure RJ made a mistake, but then he kind of retconned his own mistakes into the rules
That
of the
happens a
world.
lot in the first book.
Yep. Yep. So like I'm fine with that as long as we get to speculate. And that's the great part is we're sitting here theorizing about what that was. And this is probably the piece I love the most that we're not getting a word for word recreation is
Mhm.
that just like when the books were coming out, we now get to talk about what's going to happen this coming week. What's coming. I
Yeah,
don't know. And
it's great.
real quick here, let's hit Joe GB. Shielding his eyes aside like a raging sun can be an expression of understanding of the power she must have. AoE heals and a shockwave can do that. I agree. I mean, it was awesome. Now, for anybody saying that's just Nynaeve being OP, she is OP. Like she is very overpowered.
She is.
I think people misunderstand the level of strength that Nynaeve has with the one power. And that's why they raised her in the books. That's why they raised her to accepted so quickly. Is she was so far beyond the level of power that all the other people had. I mean,
Right. I
she
mean,
threw
even with her
Swan against the
block.
wall.
Yeah,
Right.
even with the block, she was still just stupidly powerful. So, yeah.
I mean, she throws Swan Sanche into the back of a carriage or a boat.
Or boat,
deck.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boat.
Mhm.
Like copies her weave one time after seeing it. So she doesn't always know what she's doing. But she is that strong. Now, to address some other things, and I have a video that you guys can go back and watch. I have a video that breaks down the strongest channelers, and it ranks every channeler in the series. There's like 267 of them in it, where it explains some of the things that you can do with the one power, and then it goes through and shows the actual chart. This is from all of RJ's notes and materials of where people ranked. One criticism I've seen from people is that Logain was underpowered here. And to a degree, that is accurate because Logain is actually on RJ's scale ranked as a 2. So he is right behind Rand and stronger than most of the male Forsaken, or as strong as the others. He's on like Demandred level strength.
Right.
Which 2 or 3 Aes Sedai would not have been able to hold him typically. Now they weren't linked, which is odd. Now, that was one odd thing. What did you think about that? Like
Yeah,
the fact that they were shielding individually.
right. I guess that again kind of goes back into the I don't exactly know how they're gonna make shielding work and linking work. I mean, I know they linked at the end, but they haven't really gone into what that does yet. And I'm thinking maybe we'll see some of that in the tower later on when the girls are training and stuff. But it's just hard for me to know at this point. I don't know.
I
don't
see
know
her
why they don't link.
question. Let me answer it. Isn't Olivia stronger than her technically? Yes. There are 3 female channelers on the side of the light stronger than Nynaeve. See, anybody else can guess the other 2. I know Darius Sedai will know this, but he's not allowed to answer. Anybody else can guess the other 2 channelers on the side of the light stronger than Nynaeve other than Olivia. I'll give you a gift card to shopwheeloftime.com and you can buy one of these shirts. You get a $20 gift card if you can name both.
I don't know their names, so
You got to name both. I see some people have named some of them, but not both of them. And you got to say their names right too.
Named, yeah.
You got to spell them right. Oh, everybody's dropping 1 or 2, but they don't have them all. Got to spell it right.
Bella, obviously, it was Bella.
Bella. Oh, nope. Not spelled them wrong. Here we go. There we go.
There we go.
Mango, I think you got it. I told you, Darius, that you were not allowed to answer because you already know. Sherbet Mango, message me afterwards. You got it. So Sharina was the old lady.
That was the random, old novice, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
old novice that came. And Talon was one of the sea folk that Nynaeve was training. Those are the 2. So go back and watch the video if you want to find them all. So I missed I said I weren't linked when they shielded Rand leading up to Dumai's Wells either. See, I thought they were. When they shielded him, it was a linked group of the Circle of 13 that shielded him in the throne room.
I legitimately do not remember, and this is why I'm not good at WoT trivia. So I don't know.
I ignore you on principle. That's true. I can vouch for that. He does. So yes. Anyways, those were the stronger ones. So anyways, where were we at? I get so distracted. Oh, coming back to the way I will say this. I did not like the dumb hand movements. In my mind, they were dumb for shielding. I know they had to do something, but it just looked cheesy.
It just looked a little,
Eh.
I don't know. It was fine, but yeah, I don't know. I did like how they had the mini one in their hands that
Yeah, that was
shrunk
cool.
to correspond with the main one. That was cool. But yeah.
Okay, so we're going to pause for a moment. We're going to come back to the discussion. This is the point in the show where I do shameless plugs for myself and my podcast. Now, we have not yet recorded this week's episode because Recappa was gone for Thanksgiving. So I do not have a new commercial to play you here as an advertisement. But here's what your choices are. You can get Better Call Gaul, a bedtime story from Agenor, Erotica Sedai's Pleasure Palace. What do you want to get? Better Call Gaul, a bedtime story with Agenor, or Erotica Sedai's Pleasure Palace, which is inappropriate for YouTube. But
you got to do a terrible poll in honor of the Innkeeper.
Yeah,
who could not be with us.
I'm seeing Better Call. I think Better Call Gaul is going to win here. We're going with Better Call Gaul. Here we go. Shameless plug time for Tarvalon After Dark. This is a commercial that we do.
I was winning too much in the end with my lucky dice, and now they are accusing me of cheating. I'd better call Gaul.
I just happened to be hanging out with a murderer and someone saw it. Now they're accusing me of being a dark friend. Time to call Gaul.
I'm a High Lord of Tyr, and one of the lowly peasants got mad that I murdered his brother for looking me in the eyes. Now the Dragon Reborn wants to cut my head off. I better call Gaul.
Hi, I'm Gaul. Have you been accused of something and you don't want anyone to think you actually did it? Do you want to get away with it? I believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and I can make sure no one is left alive to prove you're guilty. You better call Gaul. I will stab the fuck out of your accuser with spears, making sure there is no one left alive to actually find you guilty of a crime. So, if someone has accused you of a crime, or they want to kill you, I will kill them first. You better call Gaul.
Better call
I have
Gaul.
a question. Where's the
Yep.
phone number? How do I call?
How
Gaul?
do you call Gaul? That's a great
Yeah.
question, actually. I don't think we ever told anybody. You just kind of know. Everybody should know how to call Gaul. Now, as a aside, that is from my podcast, Better Call Gaul. I do this with Jess, the Amerlin Seat, the Innkeeper, or I just said the Innkeeper, the Amerlin Seat, and Recapacity from Wheel Talk, also known as Brian. You can see how to get there flashing across the screen right now. Our podcast is unique. It's like half sketch comedy like that. And then the other half is like serious conversations about the Wheel of Time. And we don't always agree. So it's kind of funny that we go at each other sometimes. We're a unique group. And usually our episodes come out on Tuesday. It will not be that case this week because, like I said, we haven't had a chance to record yet. So, but it'll be a little later. But yeah, they're coming. So check out Tarvalin After Dark. And if you guys are good, I saw a lot. Our second place was the Bedtime story with Agenor, which I think Sarah has read live before.
I have.
I think we did the live reading of that one at.
It was read live by Agenor. It was
Yeah.
very impressive that you managed to pull that off.
If you all are good, at the end of the stream, we'll play the Bedtime story with Agenor. So check out the podcast, and we'll come back to that. So, let's talk. This is a difficult discussion to have with you because you already know. So I was going to say, what do you expect is going to happen? So can you put your pretend goggles on for a minute, or is that going to be too hard?
I can't. I'm sorry.
So I'll throw.
I want to, but
I will throw this out to chat because I want to make some predictions for the show this week. Like what is coming, I guess, is the question, and that's my opinions. And I want to get chat. You guys tell me what you think. I think that we're number one. I think we're going to see the Tinkers get broken up. I think there's going to be an attack of some sort. My prediction. To be clear, I have not seen the next episode, so I just want to say that I have not seen it. I think we're going to see the Tinkers get broken up by White Cloaks. Maybe the Wolves are a part of that. I would hope the Wolves are a part of that because they're setting it up that way. And then you have Perrin and Egwene taken by the White Cloaks. I'm hoping they also set something up that happens with the Tinkers. Like I want them. I hate this. Sounds awful. I sound like the Nae'Blis here. I want a bunch of them to get killed.
Slaughter,
Cause
death.
Aram. I know, right? But I want that because I want Aram to be how do I put this? I want Aram to be conflicted more than he even
have
is.
Some kind of inciting incident for him.
Yeah. This is one Village Mattress put funeral for Karenni. My God, I cannot say that. But that's true. I think we will see that. I mean, we've seen hints of that in the trailer. Although the odd part to me on that, and I still think that there's something that we haven't seen. I could be wrong on this, but I don't see Lan screaming and in pain and anguish like we saw in the trailer over Karenni dying. So, like, I don't think that is probably. I think there may be a funeral, but I doubt it will be the funeral that we're all thinking is the funeral. That's my guess. We've got Rant Almore prediction: Aram lays down leaf style and inspires Perrin. Violence has a purpose. There you go. I thought you were saying for a second. I thought you were saying that seeing Aram inspired violence in Perrin, and that could be true too. But
speaking of Aram, I loved his whole line to Egwene about I hear some of them even take up arms when they leave. Like,
what did you think of the little Rumspringa that they kind of set up there. Like,
I'm into it. It kind of makes them a little bit less culty feeling, I think. So, like, at least people have a chance to leave. I mean, not that they were a cult, but I feel like they could have had some vibes like that. I don't know.
yeah, but don't you also feel like it's a little too dead on to the Amish? I know you're out on the West Coast, so you don't have many
Oh, I
Amish
grew up
there,
in the
but like,
Midwest. I know
okay,
what Amish are.
it's just a little too Rumspringa to me. Like it.
It's true. I guess the rest of it is so un-Amish. Like the Amish aren't hippies living in wagons. I guess that
That's true.
to me it works, but I can see that it is very on the nose for that particular part of Amish society.
Ooh, I like this theory. I think Alana will try to bond step in to save him, but it won't take somehow. We'll have to establish the lore of passing warder bonds and saving grieving warders. I could see something like that happening. I don't know. I actually don't know what they're going to do with Steppen. The reason I say that is, like, we know that Peter Franzen is not there for that. Like, he has a small role. It's not like he's a major role in the series. But yet he's such a great actor or actress. So, like, I said actress, didn't I? Actor. Hey, I've had way too much to drink.
We don't know what he identifies as. Sorry.
Well, kind of. But this is a point here we didn't. Jesper says, you have an explanation of why Logain reacted so strongly to Nynaeve's power, since he's supposed to be much stronger. And I think that's a legitimate question, because he is stronger than Nynaeve. He is one of the channelers that's stronger than her. By actually a significant margin stronger than her. So why was he so blown away by that? And I think he was taken aback at it. I don't think he's ever seen a woman do that before, is my guess. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the way I kind of looked at it was this was sort of a follow-up to his conversation with Moraine. That probably shook him quite a bit, where she just so definitively was like, no, you're not the dragon. You're not strong enough. And I mean, he was so confident and so sure of himself. And I mean, that had to do a number on his psychologically. And so I feel like that, combined with seeing that Nynaeve was clearly very strong, I don't think he necessarily thought she was stronger than him, but maybe the point that, okay, there's more very strong channelers out there. I'm not as unique as I thought I was, maybe.
Yep. Well, and I think there's also something I think you're right in that Moraine's words got to him, because even before he was gentled, he appears to be crying, seeing her. Like, if you go back and watch the clip, and I would go play it again if it didn't take so long to get there, and I don't have the ability to scroll through, but while he's holding his eyes, you almost see his eyes are wet. And then when he is gentled, he cries teardrops as he's falling. I read that as a little bit of I think he really did think, by the way, that I think he thought he was the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is straight out of the books. He did think he was the Dragon Reborn. Until he wasn't.
I mean, that's got to be rough on your just general psyche, man. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Well, not to mention that Elusha, the taint puppet, was telling him that he was the Dragon Reborn too. Well, that's a deep cut right there, that the taint puppets had names. But that was Elusha, my girl.
I still want to know who the other one was. Why didn't he have a name?
It doesn't matter. Elusha's the one that Elusha knows her shit. Elusha, the taint puppet. We've coined the term. Stop calling them corruption puppets. They're taint puppets. Anyways, we got Kansu says, can't Logain see Taviran? What if they swapped his encounter with Matt and ran with a meeting with Nynaeve to explain the Taviran thing? I don't think Nynaeve is a Taviran. This is something that I actually debated with Matt Hatch about the other day. And I think he was wrong. Still do. there is no implication that she's a Taviran. Moraine, the only time Taviran have so far been mentioned in the show is in that little opening part where Moraine says there's rumors of 4 Taviran in the Two Rivers. And I think that that implication is more on Egwene. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, we have our answer. I forgot. Male taint puppets don't matter in a woke ass show like this. That is so true.
That's true.
Um,
See, it's that's they're discriminating against male taint puppets. Who are they going to
what is the
discriminate
world
against
coming to?
next?
I think this is reverse sexism, is what I think. I mean, what about the male taint puppets? I look up to male taint puppets.
Where's my role model?
Little boys are going to grow up thinking, if I want to be a taint puppet, I have to be a woman. That's what they're going to think when they watch this woke crap. What is the world coming to, Sarah? Okay.
I don't know, man. It's so bad.
God. Hey, Beth. Can you imagine the profound impact Nynaeve's healing will have on Logain down the road if they go that route and keep in line with the books?
Yes,
Totally.
yes.
And I think that's deliberate. I really
yeah,
think
like-
that is deliberate.
The whole time, I mean, before we knew as much as we did recently, I mean, I was just super in on this idea that Nynaeve would somehow witness him being gentled. Like, even if it was in the
Mhm.
tower, I wanted her to see it because it would just be such good setup and foreshadowing. And so I was very happy they kept that because, yeah, I mean, it's going to come full circle later on for them. And it's just going to be a lot more meaningful now than it would have, in my opinion.
We've got Rant on more. I'm sticking to my guns that there are only 3 Taviran, leaving only one of the 5 Emmonsfield not Taviran. It's an odd dynamic. I actually agree with that. I don't. There has been nothing in the show that has confirmed that Egwene is a Taviran. Just Moraine saying there were rumors of such. Right. That's it.
Yeah.
There were
I'm really
no
curious, like the route they're going to go with that. I mean, is she going to just sit down and explain, here's what a Taviran is?
Well,
See, I guess.
my thought was that they were going to have Loyal introduce it, and I think Loyal's going to show up either in this episode or the next.
I mean, I'm wearing my hat right now that I haven't seen anything. So
I know you are. Did Rand Taviran the Grinwells? I don't think so. Oh yes. I thought you were talking about like killing them. I'm like, I don't think he did that. I think the Fate did that. I think that's possible. I think that'd be very cool if it was. Where they had Rand
when he
able to
talks them
convince them
down
to-
from shooting
yeah.
him.
But they also weren't trying to kill him either. So, like,
Could be.
that's a cool theory. I can't wait to see more of that. I think naming Alusha now is a mistake. Show used an actress that is an actual character later. True. But Alusha the Taint Puppet is going to be super famous. Jay Dickety, don't forget new channelers grow in strength. And that's true, although men grow quickly. So it depends on how long Logain's been channeling. Like, we don't know some of that backstory, and I don't think that now is the time for them to really get into it either. And this is very true right here. Jim Meeker says, rumor of 4 Taviran is not a fact of them. And that's true. Keep in mind, guys, this is a story that is based around the idea of unreliable narrators. Like, if you think that the characters of the Wheel of Time, when they say things, they're true, that's so wrong. Like, Moraine is wrong a lot in the books.
Yeah, you mean a character might react to something that they totally misunderstood? What? Not my Wheel of Time.
Right? Beth, again, it makes sense considering they are simplifying storylines and condensing characters due to the mass scope of RJ's world. And I agree. I hope you're referring to the Taint Puppets, by the way. It makes sense that I'm joking. I'm sorry. I love Taint
Are you
Puppets.
though?
I love Taint Puppets. So, okay. We are hitting the end of the episode. Do you guys want to see Agonor's bedtime story? Is that something we want, or should we say no to that and just end things here?
Have to see.
while we wait on that, because there's always a little delay for us. Oops. Oh, we got yeses. I see yeses to bedtime stories. Okay.
Of course.
We will end the episode with. Now, I want to give you the genesis of this. This is not a commercial. This is a real bedtime story from the Two Rivers. And where this comes from is in the books. They always talk about how the women of the Two Rivers would like use the Forsaken as like bedtime stories, or not, or as like to scare their kids out of behaving. And Brian and I started talking about it, and we're like, what the hell kind of stories did they tell about the Forsaken? Like, so that is where this comes from. So FYI, what you're about to hear is a bedtime story. Here we go. And now it's time for a bedtime story from Emmons Field. Once upon a time, a little boy lived with his mommy and daddy on their sheep farm in the Two Rivers. The little boy would play all day long with their horse named Brownie. The little boy would ride Brownie up and down the driveway, and they would have so much fun together. Every day, right before it got dark, the little boy would take Brownie back to his stable and brush his hair and make sure that he had food to eat. His parents made sure that he was always back before dark. One day, the little boy and Brownie had so much fun playing and riding around that the little boy wanted to keep playing with Brownie even after it was getting late. His mommy and his daddy told him, "It's not safe outside at night. You need to be tucked in bed inside where it's safe." But the little boy was sneaky. That day, after he fed Brownie and brushed his hair, he said, "Brownie, you be ready. We're going to play some more in a little bit." Then, once his parents tucked him into bed, the little boy snuck out the window and took Brownie out of his stable and started to play at night with him. It was so much fun to be outside at night, but it was also so scary. While they were playing, they came across a giant flash of light that spun out into a doorway. A man stepped out. "Hey there, mister. Do you want to play with me and my horse, Brownie?" And the man said, "Why, of course I do, boy. My name is Agenor, and I have just the game for us to play." Agenor then tied the boy up with the one power and performed experiments on Brownie right in front of the boy. He ripped Brownie's limbs off one by one and added different animal parts. Brownie seemed to be not having very much fun. The boy watched as finally Brownie didn't look like a horse anymore. He was a Trolloc now. "Can I go home now, mister? I'm sad because my horse is gone," said the little boy. "Oh no, the fun is just beginning. Brownie, you're hungry, aren't you?" Then Agenor watched as Brownie got a cook pot and cooked the boy alive and ate his legs. And then he ate his arms, and then his feet, and at last he ate the boy's eyeballs. Finally, Agenor said, "Little boys who don't listen to their parents always have to watch me turn their pets into Trollocs and eat them alive." The end.
I'm glad you kept Jess's cackle
I
at the
know.
end.
Oh, it's the
Really
best.
made it.
Anyways.
Too good.
Yes. That is an example of the type of story that women from the Two Rivers tell their kids to get them to behave. So, in any case, if you do want to check out more garbage like that, check out Tarvalin After Dark. We have lots of episodes. Oh, I'm sorry. We might have hit a. We might.
Oh no.
Sorry, Christopher. Sorry. To rehash
Congratulations. You've scarred one of your viewers.
Well. So, guys, first of all, Sarah, thank you for joining. Again, where can they find all of your wonderful content? At
WhatSeries.com.
Awesome.
And yeah, keep an eye out for our episode 5 non-spoiler review coming out in a couple days.
That's pretty awesome. Hey guys, and thanks for joining. We are going to be in the Discord server chatting here in a little bit, or at least I will. So if you want to join Discord, it's easy. Click the link in the description of the video. It says Discord. It helps you download it. You can hop right in, and that's where we have lots of fun conversations, and we'll be in a live voice chat for anybody that wants to join. Feel free to do so. So thank you all for joining. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.